Hello everybody, it is Kirsty and I am going to go through the newest document that has come out, the redacted document of all the information that everybody's been wanting to know about what they think and what they believe happened to Gannon. This isn't going to be primarily astrological, but more the document. Now there's 32 pages, I'm into page 4 and I'm going to start here. I will go back on it a little because there's a few things that we need to go back and forth with, but I think the most important thing to start with is finding out exactly what they believe happened. I have to say that this is going to be lengthy. This is the 32-page document and I've gone through the whole thing. I've applied different theories here and there and I've done all sorts, so I'm not sure whether this is going to be a 5-part thing or all in one. I'm trying to figure that out now. But what you're going to be watching is a document that was put together 4 weeks after Gannon was missing. He had not yet even been found and they have so much information. So this is just the redacted document that they had ages ago. It's by the detective and police officer Jessica Bethel. The whole document is made from all different areas of statements and things that are going on. It's actually very well done, considering you're going to see a whole lot of crazy. And but what you'll also see is sometimes you'll see that it's like he's still missing and then he's murdered or missing. It's because they're not sure at some points and they've put together this document. This is the document that sealed her fate. I think it goes further than that, and I think Gannon actually sealed it all because that little boy is remarkable. Having everybody become fully aware of what's going on and her state of mind is so important. She is a dangerous, scarily mentally ill individual. Now, that's my opinion. I don't know what the courts are going to say. She needs to be behind bars in my opinion, but anyway. So please sort of don't assume anything just yet, because it changes as you read through it. You're like, what? And then it gets worse and worse, and we still don't know the full answers. A lot of people are asking, was Harley involved? There's some definitive information in this video that will tell you where there was involvement, but personally I will say that I believe that Letecia Stauchs acted alone, allegedly, I have to say that, in killing Gannon. So in saying all that, let's move forward. So the following section, I'm sorry, I'm actually having a cup of coffee. I've got ants on my coffee cup again and I'm trying to get the volume right, so please bear with me. You might hear me sip my coffee, but this is a long document. The following section will outline what investigators have learnt about Letecia's activity on the 27th of January and outline the period when Gannon was likely murdered. Some of the information contained in this section will be repeated in other portions of this affidavit or discussed later in more detail. Additionally, there are evidence sources that are mentioned here but not fully defined in other sections. Investigators believe that Gannon was murdered by Letecia Stauchs in the afternoon hours after 2:14 p.m. of January 27, 2020 at his residence, and more specifically in his bedroom. Physical evidence recovered from the residence and inside Gannon's bedroom supports that a violent event occurred in his bedroom, which caused bloodshed, including blood splatter on the walls and enough blood loss to stain his mattress, soak through the carpet pad, and even stain the concrete below his bed. There are some photos of this evidence which is included. This is a black and white document. You can't see blood or anything. I'll show them, but there's... Oh, my belly was rumbling then. I will show them, but you can't see anything. It's black. They're not in colour, so there's no point trying to zoom in and look and try and see. There's none of that. Based on evidence recovered from the residence, Gannon's remains were eventually brought through the house into the garage and likely loaded into the back of Letecia's Volkswagen Tiguan. I don't know how to say that. Tiguan? Her Volkswagen. After cleaning the murder scene, Letecia utilised the Volkswagen to transport and dump Gannon's remains on the evening of January 28, 2020. That's Tuesday. Letecia likely disposed of his remains off Highway 105 South Perry Park Road in Douglas County, Colorado. And if you've been watching my other videos, we've gone there previously. The line went there from the chart. Indeed, the Metro Crime Lab lab determined that the blood discovered in Gannon's bedroom, the garage, and blood on a piece of particle board located off Highway 105 South Perry Park Road matched his DNA profile. On Monday, January 27, Gannon Stauch stayed home from school. Based on the text messages from Letecia to Al, Gannon was up most of Sunday evening with a stomach problem. Letecia did tell Gannon's school that Gannon would be absent on Monday. Investigators were able to verify that Gannon was marked as an excused absence that day. Letecia had told Al, "I'm just going to give them an excuse at work and stay with him." Indeed, Letecia did come up with an excuse and told her employer via text message at 4:37 a.m. that her stepdad was killed after being hit by a car and she wouldn't be able to come to work. Now that is one giant excuse. Her stepfather was killed. Good Lord. Other electronic devices, electronic evidence such as time and date stamped photographs and videos were recovered from her cell phone that indicate Gannon was likely still alive during the morning of January 27, 2020. As displayed in paragraph 54 below, which I'll show you after, images were taken on Letecia's phone. So she herself took photos at about 8:13 and 8:17 on the morning of the 27th of January, showing Gannon asleep in his bed. Of particular note, his Nintendo Switch, a small video game console, is visible in the photo lying next to him on the bed. Mr. Stauch has said that this gaming system was of high importance to Gannon. To date, investigators have not been able to locate the Nintendo Switch. It should also be noted that Letecia used her phone the following day, the 28th, at about 12:57 to conduct a Google search, "Can Nintendo find my Switch?" This is also detailed in a list of her search histories, which we'll get to. It's nuts. And reasonably occurred because she was contemplating how she would dispose of the Switch. I conducted a Google search for the term "Can Nintendo find my Switch?" and learned that the Switch does not come with any sort of tracking ability. I think we actually learned differently. Anyway, as such, Letecia likely felt it was safe to dispose of the Switch and used the missing Switch to help deceive law enforcement into searching for Gannon as a possible runaway. Ultimately, investigators located video surveillance from a neighbour's surveillance camera that showed what investigators believed to be Letecia and an individual that appeared to match Gannon's physical description depart their residence in the Nissan Frontier at or about 10:16 on the 27th of January 2020. The video camera is several homes away and does not provide images clear enough to make a positive identification. The vehicle returned at about 2:19 and Letecia exited the vehicle. After viewing the video, I cannot be sure if another person exited the vehicle or not, but I did submit Gannon likely did return home with Letecia that afternoon. These times corroborated by data collected from ADT security installed in the Stauch residence are discussed below in more detail. Well, we need to definitely hear more detail about that because that doesn't really make sense. She can't be sure if another person exited the vehicle, so she submitted that he likely did return home with her that afternoon. Okay. Based on data returned from Stauch's ADT security, the motion detectors in the living room or basement did not register any activity from approximately 10:12 a.m. until Letecia and Gannon enter the home at approximately 2:22. Interesting. Investigators confirmed Lena to be at school and confirmed that Harley was at work. As such, investigators believe there was likely nobody else in the residence except Letecia and Gannon. Letecia's historical cell site information, detailed information about her iPhone's status, and a text message sent to Harley from Gannon's cell phone supports that Letecia left her cell phone at the Stauch residence the morning of January 27. The fact Letecia left her phone at home is on its own, based on her history of extensive use of the phone. So, let me just get this into my head. A text sent to Harley from Gannon's phone. So she's using Gannon's phone in the morning of the 27th. Okay. I have reviewed forensic search records from Letecia's phone and found she is an active user of social media. Oh, this is the interesting bit. Including but not limited to Facebook and Instagram. A more detailed review of Letecia's iPhone screen time log between the 25th of January at 800 hours and January 29th at 1100 hours revealed that Letecia spent approximately 38,607 seconds on Facebook and Facebook Messenger alone, which equates to about 10.7 hours of Facebook and Facebook Messenger. So yes, she was talking 10 hours worth of talking. Crazy, just crazy. Letecia's telephone was locked at about 9:56 on January 27 and unlocked at 2:45 the same day. So she left it at home, she locked it before she left, and then unlocked it when she came home. The timing of the unlocking of the device is significant as compared to her departure and arrival to and from the residence and should be noted by the court. Particularly, Letecia did not open her phone for approximately 30 minutes after she arrived back to the residence. On January 27, there was a message sent from Gannon's phone to Harley's phone that reads, "Tecia's left phone at home. If you need her, text me." This message was sent at 10:37 a.m. So you can see now how much work I've got to go with charts. There's so many times, it's not funny. Investigators were able to confirm, based on video surveillance footage and receipts, that Letecia travelled to Petco on North Nevada Ave. This Petco is approximately 22 miles or or 30 minutes away based on Google. The receipt shows that she completed her purchase at 11:22. Gannon is not visible on any of the surveillance video obtained by Petco. Letecia's whereabouts are unknown between approximately 11:22 and 1:22. At 1:22, Letecia was again captured on video surveillance making a second purchase at the same Petco. So that was true. She did go to Petco, and she did go twice. Mr. Stauch sent a text message to Gannon's cell phone at or about 12:06 that read, "Hey buddy." This message was unanswered until 1:21. The response was, "Can I play Zelda at least?" Mr. Stauch replied, "Not today." That obviously wasn't Gannon texting that. A significant event occurred on Gannon's phone at or about 1:43 p.m, which is prior to arriving back at the Stauch residence. There was an internet search for, "Can my parent find my cell phone if it's off?" I submit that this internet search was likely conducted by Letecia on Gannon's phone and not Gannon himself, based on the content and context of the search. However, I located other internet searches with these are to show the way that she speaks, in Gannon's search history, which I also reasonably believe were conducted by Letecia. A more detailed explanation of her search history is included below, and I submit that it is reasonable that Mr. Stauch only, not Letecia, would be interested in the location of Gannon's phone, and that Letecia was possibly deliberating on how or if she would dispose of Gannon's phone after she murdered him. And it says I, but I'm going to say detective from now on. So, Detective Bethel conducted the Google search of "Can my parent find my cell phone if it's off?" and learnt that the first answer returned in the search engine, "The answer to your question depends on what method is being used to track your location." Gannon's phone was found at the residence. Detective Bethel submits that Letecia did not get rid of Gannon's phone for fear that it may be traceable. The Nissan Frontier returned to the Stauch residence at or about 2:20. A search warrant authorised by this court was executed on the Nissan Frontier and found no indications of blood inside the vehicle. So they did search the red truck, and there was no indications of anything going on there. Letecia had been without her cell phone for hours, yet her screen was not unlocked until approximately 2:45, which was 25 minutes after arriving back at her house. During that 25-minute period, there is motion activity both upstairs and downstairs on the ADT records, which, if you've been following this very closely, you would have seen those ADT records were actually going around on Facebook. Lena, so the young daughter, returned home from school at 3:15. During a recorded forensic interview with investigators, Lena stated that when she came home, Letecia told her Gannon was asleep in her bed and that she couldn't see him. Letecia told Lena to go outside and play. Detective Bethel submits that Lena was sent outside because Gannon was likely dead and Letecia was cleaning up blood from inside of the house. Now, I'm going to go over this afterwards and to try and logically think of these time periods, because it's hard when you hear it compared to what we know. So I will do that, or what we thought we knew, I should say. At or about 15:55 hours, which is 3:55, Mr. Stauch sent another message to Gannon's phone. "Hey buddy." This message was not read until 1940 hours, which is 7:40 p.m. It is likely that Gannon was already murdered by Letecia at the time Mr. Stauch sent the message. It's so sad. That poor man. Based on exterior video footage, Harley, the older sister, arrived at the house in her white V-dub at or about 4:42 and picked up Lena, the young daughter, her sister. This is interesting because it starts to paint a picture of where Harley comes into it and whether she knew anything about it. That's the discussion everywhere. Now, I'm not saying neither here nor there, I'm just reading this document right now. I don't know. Astrologically, it appears as though Letecia Stauchs did this by herself, and anybody that was in the way of the end result was going to get taken along this journey with her. So that simply could be the case, but let's keep reading. So Harley arrived at the house at 4:42, picked up the little sister. At 4:52, 10 minutes later, Letecia sent a text message to Harley requesting carpet cleaner, trash bags and baking soda. These items were likely used to clean up the murder scene. Harley purchased these items and investigators located a receipt documenting the purchase. It was at the dollar store, by the way, the Dollar Tree. Harley Hunt has refused to speak with investigators. Investigators do not believe that Harley was present when Gannon was killed. Harley was at work on January 27 from 8:30 until 4:15, and investigators were able to verify this with her employer. To be clear, investigators have not located any evidence that any person other than Lena and Letecia had access to Gannon between 10:00 hours and 17:34 hours. So that's 10 a.m. on the 27th to 17:34, which is 5:34 on January the 27th. So only Lena and Letecia had access to Gannon. That's the little sister, and she certainly didn't do this to Gannon. Statements and images captured on body camera on January 27th. Body camera. Your affiant has reviewed body-worn camera footage, BWC footage, and reports obtained from a deputy that responded to the house on Mandan Drive. After responding, Letecia provided verbal consent for deputies to search the house for Gannon. By the way of timeline, EPSO patrol responded at or about 22:09, 10:09 p.m, approximately 3 hours after Letecia initially called 911. From the body camera, I'm just going to call it that, from the body camera, I learnt the Volkswagen Tiguan, known to be leased and utilised by Letecia, was backed into the garage when EPSO was at the house. The position of the car in the garage is significant, specifically because of the confirmed presence of Gannon's blood in the garage below the area where the right hatch of the vehicle would be, and the positive reaction of Blue Star reagent indicating the likely presence of blood on the vehicle's rear bumper. Now let's just think about that for a minute. They were at the residence at 10:09 And afterwards they have learnt that while they were there, Gannon was most likely in the vehicle, but his blood was on the vehicle. It just gets worse and worse by the minute. So now, from watching the body camera footage, they've seen that the position of the car is in a really weird spot. So it's all happening right when the police are there and everything. It's crazy. This is absolutely nuts. Like, a lot of people, and she herself has figured out what's happened, but the things in between are just unbelievable to me. Okay, number 53. Responding deputies also searched in Gannon's basement bedroom. And I have viewed images of Gannon's bedroom taken from the body cam. Below I have included a body cam image of Gannon's bedroom. On the left. On the right, an image recovered from Letecia's cell phone after a search warrant. Okay, so two of the same photos we're going to see. One was taken from the body cam, one was taken from Letecia's phone. Those images both represent the condition of Gannon's bedroom on the 27th of January at about 8:13 and just after 10 p.m. This photo comparison is significant for many reasons, and the corner of the bedroom where Gannon's head is visible is the key area discussed in several sections below. See right image below, taken at 8:13 hours, so 8 in the evening. Okay, now we can't see anything. I can zoom in a bit. You're not going to be able to make out much. Let's get it over here. So you can basically see a bed and the bed here in two different positions. Okay, I have to warn you that this is actually quite graphic, not the photos, the words. It says what they believe happened to Gannon, so this is not going to sound nice. If you don't want to hear what happened to Gannon, please just switch off. So the two photos, as I said before, are here. The image on the right, so this image here was taken at 8 p.m. This image here was taken at 10:22 p.m. by body cam. This was taken from Letecia's phone. So you can see here, body cam shot of his bedroom taken on the 27th at 8:13 from Letecia's phone, Gannon in bed there. The placement of Gannon's bed is in the immediate location where his blood, based on DNA profile results, was found on the wall, the carpet, and the concrete below the carpet. These details are discussed below, and a large volume of blood appears to have been in that area. For the purposes of comparison between the images, it appears that although the sheet may or may not be the same, the blankets are different and the pillowcases. If not, the whole pillow is different. Detective Bethel submits that a logical explanation for the missing bedding is that they were likely saturated in blood after Gannon's murder and were removed by Letecia to clean up the murder scene. Furthermore, investigators were unable to locate the bedding in the Stauch residence during any of approximately 5 searches of the residence. So she's tried to hide large amounts of blood. And I don't know what she's thinking by taking photos. It's insanity. This lady she lost her mind. Like, honestly, why would you... The forethought that's gone into trying to get away with it, but then putting it all over Facebook and telling everybody what she did and doing what she did. Not normal. She is insane in my mind. I don't think she should be, insane and let off or anything like that, but to me this is the working of somebody that's just absolutely off the wall. Okay, so those are the pictures. I've left them there long enough. Another photo was recovered from Letecia's cell phone that shows his bed. So another photo. How many photos did she take? Shows that his bed was not pushed directly against the wall by the head of the bed. This photo articulates the ability for blood to get onto the walls and floor in the corner of the bedroom. Mr. Stauch, Al, stated the positioning of the bed was unusual and the bed was usually pushed against the wall. Photo from the morning. It's the bed again. Must be her second photo, I'm assuming. Particular attention to top left of bed. Now, sorry, I've got ants crawling on me. They're green ants and they bite. Otherwise I wouldn't say anything. Okay, so the top left of the bed, the top left to me is here, even though it's our right, obviously. I can't see it. I can't make out what it is, so I'm not going to speculate on what that is. Okay, now it goes on to why did she need to rent the Kia Rio? She drove to the airport, hired a car to pick up Al. This is the Kia Rio. That was from Avis. At 8:50, blah, blah. The timing of the rental is suspicious, as we know, combined with the forensic evidence later obtained from the Volkswagen, the Tiguan, and discussed below, tends to place additional importance on why Letecia felt compelled to rent a vehicle that morning. Investigators located no evidence in the Tiguan that the Tiguan was, I don't know how to say it, Tiguan was not mechanically functioning. So investigators located no evidence that it was not mechanically functioning or noted any reason why it couldn't have been driven. In fact, it had remained parked in the Colorado Springs Airport short-term parking until approximately 1900 hours, 7 p.m. on January the 28th, 2020. Whew. This just gets crazier. Letecia provided statements to her husband, Al, that she was concerned about putting mileage onto her lease, which justified the rental vehicle. We know this, is what she said. It is noted, however, that during the time of the Kia rental, Letecia had only put 71 miles on the vehicle. So a lot of people were curious, how many miles was she going to get over, why did she do that? She only had 71 miles on her vehicle. There was no reason. During the time period Letecia had the Kia, she would provide the location of the Volkswagen. She would not provide the location of the Volkswagen, and Mr. Stauch never saw the Volkswagen. For example, she told Al that the Volkswagen was near French elementary school. What? Okay. Between investigators and Mr. Stauch, a limited search for the Tiguan, the Volkswagen, was conducted and produced negative results. Investigators later learned that she left the vehicle in the short-term parking lot at the airport, but removed it at 7 o'clock on the 28th. The Kia Rio was returned on the morning of the 29th. So she's hiding that Volkswagen, isn't she? Detective Bethel submits that Letecia could not pick her husband up in the Volkswagen because it likely would have revealed evidence of Gannon's murder, including blood, or the actual remains of Gannon himself. So poor little Gannon was probably in the vehicle, when not the vehicle that she picked up Al in, but in that vehicle. It's shocking. The Kia Rio. Investigators applied for and were granted a search warrant for the Kia Rio rented by her at the airport. The vehicle was located at the rental car company in the airport and had not been rented to another customer in between the timeline, thank goodness, when they seized it. They took a swab from a stain that was confirmed to be blood in the trunk of the Kia Rio. Submitted it for analysis. It was developed and it was determined it was a mixture of two contributors. One was a male, and the major male profile did not match Gannon Stauchs' DNA. Now, that doesn't mean that there was another person. I submit that because the Kia Rio is a rental car, it has likely been utilised by a large number of people in any way, not just driven, cleaned, whatever, and the blood in the trunk may or may not be related to the investigation, and investigators have not been able to determine the likely age of the blood and have not matched it to any known DNA profiles associated with the case. Okay, you need to remember that. So it doesn't mean that there was two other males involved. They can't associate it. Investigators noted the Kia had a significant amount of mud underneath the vehicle, but this did not provide any successful investigative leads in looking for his remains. Identifiers collected the air filter of the vehicle and attempted to identify particles that might be used to identify where the vehicles may have been. They were unable to recover any GPS data or location history for the Kia. That's interesting, isn't it? The Volkswagen is important. This is about the Volkswagen. The Volkswagen Tiguan, whatever, I'm going to call it just the Volkswagen, is important to investigators because they believe it was used to transport the remains of Gannon from the house to a location where Gannon's body was dumped. The definitive locations of the Volkswagen are unknown to investigators during the time period of approximately 7:02 January 28th to approximately lunchtime January 29. Investigators believe Letecia dumped Gannon's remains on the evening of January 28th and utilised the Volkswagen to do so. The Volkswagen was then seized from Letecia on the 29th of January 2020. This is like an astrologer's dream. There's so many time frames here that we can figure out what she was doing in between. Astrology comes in really handy when investigators say they're not sure between a couple of periods of time. So if we did a chart for 7:02 p.m. January 28th and ran it through till lunchtime the next day, we would then see, hopefully, and well, we would more clearly, that she did dump his remains on that evening. The charts would show us that. But fortunately, because I did the charts all the way through, we already know that it goes to where the evidence was, the charts and the mapping. So there's no real need to know that specifically, but I also believe that she did utilise this time to get rid of him the first time. So I'm going to leave it there for part 1. That's already 40 minutes. There's a lot of pages to go through. I don't want to skip any. I want to go through this entire thing. Obviously, I haven't been discussing the astrology of it, but over the next couple, there will be more astrological discussion, and you can then see how it fits if you can't see it already, it's quite clear how it all seems to fit together. But I will be showing more astrological information as I go. I really just wanted to put this document out there because I do realise that it's difficult sometimes to concentrate on a document like this, especially when you think you know and it throws you on your head. I think it just helps sometimes to hear somebody else say it. So that's the point of this video. The next one will be up tomorrow because it's taken quite a few hours just to do that. But please keep an eye out for part 2 for the rest of the document. But there's plenty to think about in this one. Okay, until next time, take care guys. Bye.